Hello to all students. This is Professor Masood Fuzail. In this video lecture, we are going to discuss a medical condition known as Erythroblastosis Fetalis. So first of all, we are going to discuss genetics of this disease. First of all, I am going to discuss there are two persons who are going to get married. The first person is known Mr. Ali and the second person is Miss Nida. Both of these persons have blood group A, but Mr. Ali contain an allele which is known as capital D, which represent that his blood group A contain another antigen which is Rh positive on RBC, on the surface of RBC. That is why the blood group of Mr. Ali is A positive. The second person, Miss Nida, is also has blood group A, but Miss Nida contain a pair of gene which is known as small d, which represent that she does not contain Rh antigen on the red blood cells. So that is why she is A negative. So as you know, there are two types of blood group system which is commonly found in humans. ABO blood group system. According to this system, there are four blood groups: A, B, O, and AB. Well, the second system is known as Rh system. According to this system, there are two types of blood group: Rh positive and Rh negative. So according to both of these two systems, there are two types of blood groups: A positive, A negative, B positive, B negative, AB positive, AB negative, O positive, and O negative, which you already know in detail. So today we are going to discuss the compatibility or incompatibility of these two different types of groups. So as I mentioned earlier that Mr. Ali contain A positive blood group and Miss Nida contain A negative blood group. They both are going to get married. After marriage, during fertilization, their gametes fuse with each other. Capital D from Mr. Ali fuses with the small d with Miss Nida, and as a result, an offspring is produced, a child is produced, which has genetic makeup of capital D, small d, which is Rh positive because capital D is dominant and small d is recessive. So all of their children will be Rh positive. This genetics produces a condition which is known as erythroblastosis. So let's discuss how this arises. So let's look at this diagram. So this is a diagram of a placenta of mother, which is Miss Nida. On this side there is a baby, which is fetus, which has been attached with mother through umbilical cord, which contain arteries and veins, to the mother side, which also contain arteries and veins, and there is a pool of blood which comes from mother's body, and these blood capillaries from fetus penetrates into this pool of bloods for gaseous exchange and nutrition. These two bloods kept separated by embryonic chorion, which you can see in the orange color. This layer of chorion separates mother's blood from fetal blood from mixing, because it is very important that both of these blood do not mix with each other due to the compatibility. During first pregnancy, there are two cases. So during first pregnancy, what happens at the time of birth? Placenta detaches because baby has to be born, and blood capillaries of the fetus are broken down. So in this case, right over here, you can see in this diagram, this red color portion is mother's blood, which is present in placenta, while this area is known as fetus capillaries, which penetrates into this blood for gaseous exchange. During the process of birth, these blood capillaries rupture, and as you know that at this stage mother's body has A negative blood. It means that maternal blood does not contain any Rh antigen or antibodies, while fetus blood right over here contain Rh positive antigen and no anti-Rh antibodies. So infant blood contain Rh positive RBC, while maternal blood is Rh negative, free of any antigen or antibodies. And there is an embryonic chorion right over here which separates these two bloods. But during the process of birth, blood capillaries rupture and there is a seepage of fetal blood into maternal body. So you can see right over here, red blood cell of fetus are going to seep from the capillaries, enter into mother's bloodstream. And all the bodies of humans, whenever there is a foreign particle enters inside the body, our body gives a reaction by producing antibodies against that particular antigen. In mother's body, maternal body, there are white blood cells which are known as B cells or B lymphocytes. When they encounter these red blood cells from fetus, they produce a particular antibodies which are known as immunoglobulin G in a very large amount. At this point, there is no particular damage to mother or the fetus. Baby has been born and there is no complication, and most of the time both fetus and the mother are okay. But during the process of birth, in the first pregnancy, there are many antibodies are generated inside the maternal blood which can last for a long time in the mother's blood. What happens when the second pregnancy, in the process of second pregnancy? So in the second pregnancy, we will look at this diagram again. There is a fetus which has been attached by umbilical cord to the mother's blood with the help of placenta. So I have taken a small cross section from this area right over here. So this is the second exposure. Baby is Rh positive, as we already discussed the genetics of the these two persons. Baby is Rh positive, which contain blood which contain Rh antigen present on the red blood cell, but it does not contain any anti-Rh antibodies, while mother's blood does not contain any Rh antigen, but it does contain now many IgGs which are antibodies against that particular antigen. And these are small molecules which can seep from maternal blood into fetal circulation through placental capillaries. Now look at this diagram. These antibodies, as you can see in the black color, are diffusing across the capillaries and entering the bloodstream of the fetal blood, where Rh antigen is present on the surface of RBC. So what will happen? These antibodies will destroy these RBCs present in the fetal blood. This condition is known as erythroblastosis fetalis. So when there is a destruction of so many RBC in the body of the fetus, there are symptoms of erythroblastosis fetalis. So what are the symptoms? Let's look over here. Number one, baby will be swollen than the normal size. Baby will show the symptom of jaundice due to the presence of large amount of bilirubin, which is the end product of the breakdown of the red blood cells. If bilirubin is accumulated in the body in greater amount and reaches to the brain, it can cause the death of the brain, which can lead to the abortion or the stillbirth. While if it is in small amount, it will cause the yellowing of the whiteness of the eye and the skin of the fetus. When there is a destruction of large number of red blood cells, there is a deficiency of blood. So baby's liver and spleen will produce more RBCs in faster pace to meet the demand of body. As a result, due to the overproduction of the immature RBC, their liver and spleen will become swollen than the normal size. And also the RBC which are produced by spleen and liver are immature. So immature RBC are known as erythroblasts. So that is why this disease is known as erythroblast, means immature red blood cell, cis mean condition, fetalis mean fetus. So in this condition, fetus contain large number of immature RBCs. The next symptom is anemia. Anemia means shortage of blood, and also hydrops fetalis. In this case, there is fluid accumulates in the serous membranes and in the spaces in the body, which cause congestive heart failure. So due to these symptoms, most of the time baby dies, and as a result abortion or stillbirth takes place. But sometimes it happens that baby is born alive, but it contains all these symptoms. Then we have to treat it. How, we are going to discuss later. So what are the causes of this disease? As I mentioned earlier, in the genetics, there are two major types which can cause this disease. Number one, Rh incompatibility, as we can see right over here with Mr. Ali and Miss Nadia, or ABO incompatibility. So if the both of the blood groups does not match with each other, they can cause this incompatibility and result in the erythroblastosis fetalis. So most of the time baby will be dead, but if the baby born alive, then there are symptoms of erythroblastosis fetalis and doctor has to treat it. So how we gonna treat it? Number one, phototherapy. The baby is exposed to ultraviolet radiation. Number two, transfusion. Baby blood has been taken out and new blood free of anti-Rh antibodies is transfused into the baby. Number three, exchange transfusion. Number four, ventilation. The baby has been put on the ventilator. But sometimes there is a very simple method to treat this disease, is that when we know that this is going to happen, then the mother is injected with anti-Rh serum in early pregnancy and after birth. So what will happen when the placenta will detach and blood capillaries will rupture? As soon as Rh positive blood will enter into the maternal bloodstream, anti-Rh serum will destroy the RBCs of fetus so that it cannot stimulate white blood cell to produce IgGs in the maternal blood. So this is a very simple therapy which can be used to treat such condition. So now I'm going to summarize this whole lecture so that you can easily understand this concept. So let's start right over here. Rh negative patient before pregnancy, which is Miss Nida, which is Rh negative, does not contain Rh antigen or anti-Rh antibodies. Pregnancy, which is first pregnancy, and the fetus is Rh positive, there is no problem with that. Placental separation during the first pregnancy. Maternal sensitization during placental separation, leakage of blood from the capillaries from fetus to maternal bloodstream, causing maternal sensitization. As a result, white blood cells of the mother produces large amount of IgGs antibodies against those antigen. Next pregnancy with Rh positive fetus, then maternal anti-Rh antibodies which has been produced during first pregnancy enter fetal circulation by diffusion through capillaries. Anti-Rh antibodies to fetal Rh positive red blood cell. These antibodies will interact with the fetal blood and disturbing the destruction of red blood cell will take place inside the fetus, which is also known as hemolysis of fetal RBC. Hemo mean blood, lysis mean breakdown, and as a result a condition is produced which is known as erythroblastosis fetalis. That's all for today. I hope it makes sense, and I'll see you in the next lecture. Until then, bye.